Next, from a woman from Suffolk who died trying to save 3 children from a raging fire, to a Metropolitan Police officer who braved poisonous gas to save 2 workmen caught up in a Kensington chamber. Both stories of heroism, but there's a twist. They're not from today, but from Victorian London. They're part of a new book by historian Dr. John Price, recognising everyday heroic sacrifices from that period in history. And Dr. Price joins me now, and thanks so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
So, where did this come from? I understand it was about 20 years in the making, this book.
Yes, yeah. It must be over 20 years ago now that I first sat in the park. Postman's Park is just near the Museum of London, just by St Paul's, the Museum of London. And yeah, I used to sit in there and eat my lunch. And anyone who's been to the park will know one of the most remarkable features of it is this memorial, the Watts Memorial to heroic self-sacrifice. And it's sort of a long wooden cloister with all these ceramic tiles on the wall. And each of the tiles tells a story of somebody who died doing a heroic thing. They're all Londoners mostly, and they're all from the Victorian and Edwardian period. And I just used to look at them and think, wow, these stories are just incredible. I really want to find out more about these people and find out the lives behind them.
And at the time you were a history student, and you decided to make this part of your dissertation. How did you delve a little bit deeper? How did you find out more about the stories and about these heroes?
It's a tough proposal, really. It's one of those things. There was a lot of newspapers in the day. Most of these people are distinctly ordinary people, so they don't really appear in the historical records normally. And when they do something heroic like this, they sort of pop up into the historical records, and they appear in the newspapers for a couple of days. Quite often, because these are sudden deaths, they have inquest reports. So it was newspapers, inquest reports, and then records of births, marriages and deaths, just to try and sketch in really who they actually were. It's easy to find out how they died, but it's finding out who they were.
So what can you tell us about this couple here then?
Oh, that's Alfred Smith. Alf Smith was a police constable. He was patrolling in central London on, it was the 13th of June, 1917. So, what was that, 2 days ago? It was the 98th anniversary of his death. And he was patrolling. It was the first daylight bombing raid on London by German aircraft. And Alf was sadly killed in a blast. He was trying to stop some women running out of a factory, and they were in danger, so he protected them, and in doing so he was killed. But that actually, I think that picture was taken on his wedding day when he married his wife, May. I'm very lucky to have got that picture because one of his relatives, I know one of his relatives, his great-nephew, a guy called Rob Jeffries, who very kindly gave me that photograph.
And you say newspapers really helped you in your quest to find out more, to find out exactly what happened and more stories about these people. I guess something like this.
Yes, these are the kinds of illustrations that appeared in the press sometimes. This is the funeral of one of the heroes, one of the young boys who died trying to save his brother. And there's a picture of him at the funeral. He's buried in Manor Park Cemetery, and this is a fantastic sort of illustration of his funeral. So yeah, I mean, the press reports really were the way into this.
How did he die trying to save his brother?
They drowned. They were playing in the water, and one got into trouble, became exhausted, and the other one went out and tried to save him, and they both got tangled up and they drowned. It really was sometimes just as simple as that.
How many stories did you uncover?
Well, the memorial features 54 tablets.
Really? Wow, that many.
And there's 62 different people that are featured on the monument, because some of the tablets, the memorial tablets, have more than one name on them. So there's 62 stories and 62 people. So none of them were easy to discover. Some of them were very, very difficult to discover, which is why the research has taken over 10 years. But yeah, there's 62 different stories in the new book. So.
Oh gosh. Completely fascinating. It's so interesting to find just the lives of everyday ordinary people, and indeed the heroic behaviour of them. It's completely fascinating.
This is what always captured me, really. There's the real people behind the memorial tablets.
All right, well, look, Dr. Price, thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you very much.
Now.